Second last day, guys. The sadness. One more sleep and I'm gonna be leaving. Sucks. But today, like I said, is the day of the Vatican, so very exciting. So I headed into that neighborhood. Morning. So today I'm in this beautiful little park. I'm also right by Castle Sant'Angelo, which actually was a mausoleum originally for Hadrian. It was his mausoleum, and then many other people were buried there. Then it was used as a fortress multiple times, and now it's a museum. So I was near the Vatican, which is about 30 minutes away from where the food tour is, and then I decided, hey, when am I going to be 30 minutes away from these amazing places again? So I went and got the pizza again. Oh my god, that place is amazing. I got a really tasty one that had burrata and a cured meats, and then I got the ricotta and the spicy salami spreadable one that I really liked, and then now I'm drinking a coffee and eating this wild cannoli. Look at her, she's piping it in fresh. It's a thing of beauty, and dipping it in the pistachio. So good. And I've made it. I'm inside the Vatican. Ba-ba. So cool. It's also really funny listening to all the sales pitches, like, skip the line, skip the line. You speak English, you speak French, you speak Spanish. It's cracking me up. I'm sitting here, I have to wait like an hour. So I'm just kind of people watching and listening to the different sales techniques. Like some people will be like, oh, we've already seen it. Oh, it's best if you see it twice in one day. Anyways, I'm going to my tour shortly and I'll fill you guys in then. So neat to be in the middle of this huge square. This square where, you know, millions and millions of people have gone through. And just the events that have happened there, just the energy in the square, and then also obviously all the salespeople was really funny. However, I of course, because I love movies, couldn't stop thinking about angels and demons. Anytime I saw anything, I was like, oh yeah, that was at that part, oh yeah. Even the Castle Sant'Angelo, the whole time I was like, that's where they went. So stupid, I know, very silly. Then we went into the Vatican Museum. Now I initially had, or not initially, I sort of had this issue. So my tickets weren't until 3. I wanted to go in a bit earlier. And they said, oh, you can do 2:30. And I was like, I have to kill like an hour and a half. It's not really enough time to go up on the dome. So then I was talking, you know, there's the guys trying to sell you, you know, skip the line. I was like, I already have skip the line, B. He was like, yeah, but this way you can have a guided tour and, you know, they'll take you to the Sistine Chapel too, blah, blah, blah. Talking about it like it's an upsell, but I believe from what I found out after, the Sistine is free. Usually it's just you have to wait in line, so what I should have done is waited in line, because then I could have gone up the dome, which was closed by the time we got in because it took us an hour to get into it. So our tour started earlier than my tickets, 2:15 or something. My ticket was for 3. Great. But the guide talked forever, which was interesting. He talked about cool stuff, but he talked forever, and then we had to walk the 20 minutes to get to the door, and then apparently there were some technical difficulties. So by that time I was just kind of irritated, and I think I'm getting to that point where I'm kind of done hearing about facts and numbers and things like this. So that was too bad and kind of annoying, but it is what it is, and I was in the Vatican and it was wonderful to be there, so whatever. The museum, just like every museum in Europe it seems like, had these beautiful rooms, even if there weren't, you know, riches and all this art within each room. The floors alone are beautiful, and the walls and the ceilings. There were these beautiful mosaics in this one room, along with many gorgeous statues, even one that was in bronze. A lot of them had been melted down to be forged into weapons instead. So it was neat to see one that was bronze. I was like, oh, that's Hercules. It was also really fun for me having to think about my Roman and Greek mythology to see what I remembered. So enjoyed that as well. I also enjoyed seeing all of the statues that had a little fig leaf on it, and just thinking about, I think it was Clement's castration. The one pope decided that it would, you know, make everyone too tempted if they were looking at penises all day. So he had them cut off, and then later fig leaves were put on top of them. So you can see which statues were added to the Vatican collection after his reign and which ones were there before. Sadly, most of them were from before. So there were a variety of sizes of fig leaves on the different statues, and even on small decorations on the sides of I'm not sure if it was like a sarcophagus or what it was, but even small ones cracked me up. So we're in the map room now. Check this out, or I guess it's the hallway. So cool. It's massive. Now the Sistine Chapel, you can't actually take photos, which was fine. You could tell though, everyone was just itching to do it and trying to be sneaky. It's just like, man, just enjoy it. You get in there and they rush you along to get you into the center, and they're shushing you every few minutes. Those poor guards, I would hate to have that job. But it's just covered in art. On the one side, it's all the story of Jesus. On the other side, it's the story of Moses by a variety of different people. And the story goes, via our tour guide, that originally Michelangelo was hired to do a bunch of sculptures for this tomb that the Pope wanted. And Michelangelo, you know, went someplace for 6 months to pick out all the pieces of marble, and then he got back and he got to work, and then the Pope was like, yeah, you know, I'd rather you paint the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel. And Michelangelo's like, I mean, it's not really my thing, but sure. So he built all this scaffolding, which was a new thing, and started painting, but apparently he sort of was calling it in. He didn't really care at first. The first 3 panels, the people are kind of small, and then he realized that from the ground it'd be too small to make out details, so he started making them bigger. But he kept doing things like pagan images or Jewish images, which the Pope obviously was unhappy about. That was done also in paints that were more of faded colors. There's not a lot of blue and gold, you'll notice, because those are the most expensive, and the Pope had said, well, you have all my money from the tomb that you didn't do, so just spend that on paint. So Michelangelo was like, screw you, man, I'm gonna get whatever colors I want then. But then years later, after Michelangelo was quite famous, they asked him to do the Last Judgment, and this time they supplied the paints, so you can see there's tons of blue in it. But Michelangelo was feeling pretty high on himself, so I guess he's one of those people that just likes to test the boundaries, and he did basically everybody naked. The Pope was not impressed with this, and there was I believe a particular cardinal that really rubbed him the wrong way, so he's in the bottom right-hand corner, wrapped in a snake. His ears are elongated like an ass or donkey, and there's a snake on his genitals biting them. So apparently the cardinal was pissed. Clear, I mean, that's fair. I would also be, but don't be rude to the guy who's gonna be making the murals and putting you in them. I also found that all the women looked really muscular. I guess Michelangelo really liked the male form as opposed to the female form. And then after he became Protestant and then died, one of the popes asked someone else to come and do watercolor clothing over some of them to cover some of the bits and pieces, so it was less offensive. Just finished the Sistine Chapel. So cool to see all of that, you know, in person. You're supposed to be quiet. Of course, no one's doing a good job of that, and you have to kind of keep moving, and your neck is craned looking up there, but it was just beautiful. The colors were amazing and really interesting to hear all the stories. It was just so cool to see it, and oh, loved it. Finally, we got to use St. Peter's Basilica. It really is massive. Apparently it can fit 50,000 people within it, and I mean, that's fair. It was odd though, it felt not smaller, but because it has so much decoration in it, the one that I was in yesterday or the day before, the one that was converted from a bathhouse, seemed bigger, I guess because it was airier. You really did feel small. This one, it was just so gaudy that it didn't feel small, but again, really neat to be there, neat to see everything in person, the Mary and Jesus. Although Mary looks very young, I guess because she's the Virgin Mary, maybe they just keep her young forever, whereas Jesus looks, you know, 30-ish, 32, 33. And getting to see that main altar that's made, I want to say, oh, I can't remember, the window behind was definitely alabaster. You could see the dove in it, and it had that beautiful glow to it, and the sun was on that side, so it especially glowed nicely. And the main area there with the black pillars and the little bees on it, but we were so far away. I don't know if usually you can get closer, and they were just having a special ceremony because it's Easter, but really, really neat to see it all. I also dropped by another church on the way home. It's like the Church of Jesus or something like that. Oh my goodness, it's more of a modern artist that did the painting in there, but it was beautiful. And then I went to a little restaurant in the Trastevere district. My accent's terrible, I can't pronounce anything, so sorry for all my pronunciation in all of this. The menu was nice, and we got to have just a nice simple pasta carbonara, and their spaghetti is thicker here, which I'm super about. And that was my day. Thanks so much for watching.